Pay-per-view bonuses made somewhat of a return for the WWE shows in Saudi Arabia. Here we saw some of the biggest single event paydays in wrestling history, given that the Saudi government was paying WWE $50 million per show. Shawn Michaels was paid $3 million to come out of retirement and return to the ring at Crown Jewel 2018. These massive Saudi payoffs were mainly a thing for the bigger stars, or those coming in to do one-off matches and thus receive a hefty payday for that.
And you don't think WrestleMania 43, they're not going to shell any expense to get some wrestlers to come out of retirement or get some wrestlers that haven't been wrestling for a while? You don't think they not going to hit up the final boss and say, hey, bro, I'm going to need you to go ahead and juice on up. Get the muscles back. I know you doing your Hollywood thing. Put that on hold. We got, I don't know, 50 M's for you right now. Pull up. Go ahead, wrestle Roman Reigns one good time. And then you can leave. But just, 50 M's right now. You playing hardball. 60 M's. You don't think they gonna throw all kinds of money to get the wrestlers that they want to get out there. What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ross back at again with another video. So we're gonna check out how much money did WWE wrestlers really make. Now, this is going to be a very interesting one. We're going to get into our pocket watching bag. A lot of times wrestlers, on top of the contracts that was set up by Vince McMahon or Triple H, they would get some, portion of their merchandise sale. And I believe back in the day, it used to be like if you were on WrestleMania, you got like a WrestleMania bonus. I don't know if they do that now. It may be different on how they break, bonuses down. But a lot of times if you were, was able to be on a WrestleMania card, which a lot of wrestlers would try to do, you would get a WrestleMania bonus. So there's chances to make a lot of good money, especially nowadays. Granted, considering the company's making billions of dollars, you would think these wrestlers would get top dollar. And not to say that they're not getting some good pay, but you would think they would probably get a little bit more. So we're going to check out basically some of the wrestlers that got some good pay over the years. Appreciate all love, support. Let's get into our pocket watching bag. Is this on?
Wrestling is all about the money.
It's all about the money. It's all about the money.
The big companies dish out large paydays and contracts to their wrestlers.
In the late 90s and early 2000s, the highest guarantee you could get was $1 million. And only a few people got. Stone Cold, The Rock, Undertaker, Triple H, myself, Big Show, I think. But now you can... They're offering like $8, $10, $12 million a year now.
For this video, we'll be discussing all things to do with money in wrestling.
Rocky Johnson was a trainer in OVW, and he said that Rock got a million plus for that match, which wouldn't surprise me.
We'll look at how wrestlers got.
And once again, you got to take in consideration of inflation. So getting $1 million just in the 2000s is like, I don't know, damn near maybe 2 million now or 2 million plus now. So $1 million definitely was a lot back then for anybody to be receiving. So
paid in the past compared to now. While analyzing the numbers,
you have X amount of dollars that is allotted to pay all the talent in the show. And then they break it down into certain percentages based on kind of like where your match falls in the hierarchy. And our match was given 30 grand. So then it was split between 4 people, obviously, because there were 4 people in the match. So it was $7,500 each.
We'll also highlight contracts, both big and small, that talent received when working in major promotions like WWE and WCW.
But the number on the paper that was the max was $1 million a year. Now, opening match guys are getting $1 million a year, and top guys are getting $30-40 million a year.
Today, we list 10 secrets behind wrestlers' contracts.
Never once did we complain, except for that one at SummerSlam, the first TLC match. We felt like we deserved more because of what we put our bodies through. And we did go to JR at the time, who was head of talent relations, and complained to him. And sure enough, he said, okay, you guys got approved for this amount. And we were like, oh, damn, we should do this more often.
The launch of the WWE Network in 2014 eradicated pay-per-view checks, which wrestlers used to receive as a bonus on top of their downside guarantees. A downside guarantee is...
So I was right and wrong. It was... If you made the pay-per-views, you would get, essentially a pay-per-view check as well. But I know for WrestleMania, they were paying out bonuses on top of that. So I was kind of right, kind of wrong. Once again, I don't really know the inside, but I've just seen videos and heard people talk about how sometimes the pay was broken down back in the day. But either way, these wrestlers deserve to get, paid good money.
Minimum amount of money a wrestler can make in a year from just their contract alone.
You're guaranteed $10 no matter where you are on the card, no matter what you do, no matter if 2 people show up, 10 people show up, or 10,000 people show up.
This doesn't include merchandise, pay-per-view bonuses, and royalties. Before the network, talent could make a lot extra from working at WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and even B pay-per-views.
The No Mercy 99 match, we got $5,000 for the match. We thought like, oh my God, come on guys, this was like a show stealer. People were buying the replay for this match. We knew it was definitely special. And we addressed JR about this. And then JR ended up bonusing us each $5,000. So we all made $10,000.
Naturally, the big stars would make more, but in some cases, the pay disparity between opponents in the same match could be quite disproportionate. At WrestleMania 18, Chris Jericho earned 5 figures for being in the main event. His opponent Triple H, on the other hand, made 6 figures for the match. Jericho revealed this in an interview with
Sounds
Inside
about
the
right.
Ropes.
If the WrestleMania payoff was a pie, Triple H got 4 pieces of the pie, and I got 1 piece of the pie. So he got 80% of the payoff that was delegated by Vince. I got 20. So I told Jim. Jim went and told Vince. And to Vince's credit, with no argument, he sent me another check, which brought me up to 1.5 pieces of the pie.
When it came to the undercard stars, Mania didn't necessarily mean huge money, even though it was the biggest show of the year. Despite making it onto the WrestleMania 20 card, Rene Dupree received an identical amount to Funaki, who watched the show from catering.
That was the lowest paycheck I ever got. Was WrestleMania 20 at the Garden. I got paid just as much to be at the show than I did to be on the card.
That's crazy. So I was under the assumption that if you made the card, you would get a little bit more, but I guess it really also comes down to where they view you on the card, talent-wise, whether you're lower card, mid-card, or high card, the main event guys. Yeah, I'm guessing it would definitely depend on, your talent star level and what they would deem to be worthy to pay you, even on a pay-per-view.
The same is true for Stevie Richards the year prior. He helped put together Victoria's match while also getting involved with the action, but he earned the same as Crash Holly, who watched the whole show from the back.
This WrestleMania 19, you want to get in how much I got paid for it? $2,000.
Whoa.
I lost money that week. Anytime I went to WrestleMania, it was the biggest money loss for me as a worker, whether I worked or not.
Pay-per-view bonuses made somewhat of a return for the WWE shows in Saudi Arabia. Here we saw some of the biggest single event paydays in wrestling history, given that the Saudi government was paying WWE $50 million per show. Shawn Michaels was paid $3 million to come out of retirement and return to the ring at Crown Jewel 2018. These massive Saudi payoffs were mainly a thing for the bigger stars, or those coming in to do one-off matches and thus receive a hefty payday for that.
And you don't think WrestleMania 43, they're not going to shell any expense to get some wrestlers to come out of retirement or get some wrestlers that haven't been wrestling for a while? You don't think they not going to hit up the final boss and say, hey, bro, I'm going to need you to go ahead and juice on up. Get the muscles back. I know you doing your Hollywood thing. Put that on hold. We got, I don't know, 50 M's for you right now. Pull up. Go ahead, wrestle Roman Reigns one good time. And then you can leave. But just, 50 M's right now. You playing hardball. 60 M's. You don't think they going to throw all kinds of money to get the wrestlers that they want to get out there? Come on now.
Specific match. Luke Gallows revealed that the regular contracted talent didn't see much of a difference in their earnings for the Saudi events due to the way wrestlers are paid in modern times.
The thing is, with the money being great in Saudi Arabia, once your guarantee gets so high and you're lucky to have this high guarantee, it doesn't fucking matter what they pay you in Saudi Arabia. You guys got 50 grand for your tag match. Okay, well then, you're in a bucket in WWE. It's add and subtract. So at the end of the year, if I don't get that extra money anyway, it doesn't matter if you said you paid me $100,000. I don't get it. I get the same amount of money. Yeah. So you bring the great Khali in from India. I don't know what you give him. You give him 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand. He just gets it.
Mason Mansour shed light on how current WWE stars receive their pay in an interview with Maven Huffman.
So let's say if my downside was $125,000 and I worked a Saudi show, which is ka-ching, and they just have to pay you $150,000, well then you're going to make $25,000 bonus because that's on top of your downside. We didn't see any extra money from merchandise.
Wait a minute, you guys don't get royalties? Not unless you sell so much that it outperforms your downside.
Well, we do get a check in the mail every week, but it's the same number every time.
Every time.
No matter how many shows you work, no matter how many times you wrestle, even if you don't wrestle at all, You get the same payment every single week. We get guaranteed money no matter what.
The current salary system differs from how past performers were paid, since back in the day, the more shows a talent worked, the more they received, since they got a percentage of the live gate or buy rate,
and this is why wrestlers would try their hardest to not get injured, and if they did get injured, they would take prescription medicine to deal with the pain, because they weren't trying to miss out on the checks. That's how it was. That's how people ended up getting addicted to prescription pills. Because, I need to work. I got to pay my bills and my family.
Into the pay-per-view checks we mentioned earlier. The Hardy Boys were on pretty much every show in the year 2000, while also moving a ton of merch. This led them to making 13 times more than their original downsize of $75,000 a year.
In that year, we tripled our guarantee of $75,000 in 1999, and in 2000, we made 13 times the guarantee.
Due to their success, Matt and Jeff's contracts were naturally bumped up the next year. The Hardys weren't alone either, as during the Attitude Era, former head of talent relations Jim Ross has said that up to 20 wrestlers were making $1 million a year or more once all the residuals were factored in.
Vince's magic number was $1 million a year. Nobody gets more than that guaranteed. You might make more if you're working on top and with the pay-per-view bonuses and all that sort of stuff. Merch and everything like that.
So what they did is after my first year, I said, I want a new contract. And because I was world champion at the time, they had to, they had to make my wishes come true. So, they gave me the $1 million guarantee. And that was the highest guarantee back then. And but I made a lot more than that. You were guaranteed that, but if you work full time, you're going to make 2, 3, 4 times. For the most part, I made about, honestly, $2.5 million a year. I did all right. I wasn't a businessman. I didn't promote myself. I didn't do a lot of merchandise.
The highest earner was Stone Cold Steve Austin, who in his best year is said to have earned $16 million.
Watching Stone Cold, Steve Austin.
I want y'all to understand, $16 million back then? In today's time? Bruh. And we know it makes sense. He was the top guy, and he was selling a lot of fucking merch. He was on all the damn shows damn near. Yeah, like, come on, bro. He was the reason a lot of people was pulling up to the show. Him, The Rock, The Undertaker, Triple H. Like, man.
And, rumor has it that, he made tens of millions of dollars with merchandise.
Of course.
He obviously was a good businessman. It all depends on who you are and what you've accomplished. But like someone like Stone Cold Steve Austin, he was making $16 million a year. He was at the top of the heap of anybody, because his merchandise, he sold like $13 million a year in merchandise. So, he did extremely well.
The old WWE video games were incredibly fruitful when it came to royalties. Not every talent on the roster was going to make it onto the game, so those that did benefited very well financially. The video game check could be as high as some wrestlers' entire downside guarantees, depending on their salary. Various wrestlers have spoken about how much they made from the games on their YouTube channels.
The video game check was the one that talents like me would say, this could be a down payment on my house. This could be like I could buy a lot of stocks and stuff and make good interest. You could really turn your financial situation around just off of the video games.
Maven made $30,000 for being featured in SmackDown's Shut Your Mouth.
They're pretty much buying your rights, and it's basically your rights to be used not only in this game but in subsequent games in the future. Now, once Jack Specific has your rights, they're going to actually pay you for every game that you're in moving forward. And granted, it's not going to be as big of a payday as that first one, but for every game moving forward, you're going to get a little bit of something.
These royalties only increase as the years progress, as Eugene said he got $86,000 for being in SmackDown vs. Raw 2006.
I was always told you're not supposed to say specific numbers, but I made $86,000 in 1 quarter royalty check.
Theodore Long wasn't even a playable character, but he received in the region of $70,000 for his appearance in SmackDown vs. Raw 06. The size of this check was so high, likely because of how much of a key role Teddy played in the season mode that year when he was run over. But just like with the eradication of pay-per-view bonuses, as time went on, video game royalties began to drop rapidly, as publishers changed from THQ to 2K. Plus, with so many wrestlers being added to the game each year, the royalty pool grew larger, and thus the individual checks became smaller. With business being down following the end of the Attitude Era, wrestlers' contracted pay was going to reflect this, especially when it came to lower card talent who may not have been featured every week. Stevie Richards has been quite open on his YouTube channel about how much he made during his time with WWE. Stevie earned $192,000 in 2000, where he worked 300 dates in total, but by his final year in 2008, Stevie's downside guarantee was $75,000 a year, despite being on the roster for 9 years at that point.
My standard 3 years was 75, 75, 125. But every time we got towards the end of the second year, I was off TV or something happened or whatever, and they needed to put me on another 75, then 125.
It's unlikely Richards would have made any more than that if he worked the full year given his lack of matches, merchandise, and video game appearances in 08. This shows quite the drop-off in pay for the undercard wrestlers. Also, if we compare it to modern times, the minimum guarantee for a talent signed to a main roster contract is $300,000. Stevie isn't alone though, as Super Crazy couldn't actually afford to work for WWE in the Ruthless Aggression era.
Wait a minute, hold on. Did he say $300,000 now?
Times. The minimum guarantee for a talent signed to a main roster contract is $300,000.
That's
Stevie
not bad,
isn't
bro.
alone though, as Super Crazy couldn't actually
Not bad
afford to
at all.
work for WWE in the Ruthless Aggression era. He, like Richards, stuck around until 2008, but Crazy requested his release because he couldn't afford to commute back and forth from Mexico each week while only making $500 per show.
Yeah.
Rico was let go in 2004 after asking for a pay increase that would have seen him to go on to make $1,000 a week.
Well, I got released because I asked for a raise. I asked for $1,000 a week.
The fact the company wasn't even willing to give him that shows how little certain performers were making during this time compared to the past and present. Rico's situation was made even worse when WWE later tried to rehire him twice for less money than he was making before.
I got asked to come back twice. Told him no the first time and F no the second time.
After Randy Savage joined WCW, he made sure that his brother Lanny...
And this is one of those things where, at the end of the day, if they see real value in you, they're going to meet your demands. If they don't, they're just going to tell you, hey, well, we can give you a bag of chips and a soda. Will you take that for payment? It's up to you if you want to take that payment or not. So...
Poffo also got a job with the promotion. Lanny was signed in 1995, and the plan was to debut him as Gorgeous George. After Randy was granted rights to use the name in tribute to the legendary wrestler, Lanny bleached his hair blonde and got all roided up while waiting by the phone in anticipation of his debut.
He says, well, you got to earn this. Every time he saw me, he wanted to see my physique and my tan and to see if I was in shape.
Though the call never came, over 4 years went by, but Poffo never worked for WCW outside of a couple non-televised matches. It was a case of out of sight, out of mind, since the bookers changed regularly, but none of them ever reached out to Lanny. Lanny was paid handsomely the entire time just to sit at home. It's not known exactly how much he earned in those 4 years, but Poffo admitted the total was over $1 million. WCW president Eric Bischoff has said that to pay Lanny, the company simply subtracted money from his brother Randy's contract. Lanny, however, denies this to be true.
I was listening to a podcast where it was revealed that Randy took a cut in pay during WCW days to ensure you had a job. Is this true?
False.
Either way, when we think of wrestlers who made the most from doing the least, Lanny is right up there. World Championship Wrestling also paid out millions to Michael Buffer. The famous boxing ring announcer did introductions for many of WCW's main events.
I heard he get paid good money. Like, good money, bro. Like, they pay him top dollar to announce like the main event fights and stuff like that, like millions. But I mean, he has an iconic voice. You know, when you see him out there, you know it's a big fight feel, big money match is about to happen. So it's all for the presentation and atmosphere. So he getting paid good money just to announce people, man. Not mad at it.
It added that big fight feel and gravitas to each bout Buffer presided over. However, this came at quite the cost, since it's believed he made at least 6 figures per appearance. Buffer trademarked his iconic Ready to Rumble line in the 90s.
For the thousands
He's in attendance
and the millions watching around the world.
Let's get ready to rumble! Iconic.
Since then, the catchphrase has generated over $400 million in revenue from licensing all over the world.
I remember this.
WCW shelled out $250,000 for Kiss to perform in 1999. That same year, Dennis Rodman netted over $1 million for his few appearances on Nitro and matched with Randy Savage at Road Wild. Rodman netted similar amounts in 97 and 98, where he wrestled 1 match in each respective year. The WWE also rolled out the red carpet for celebrities and sports stars. Mike Tyson was paid in excess of $3 million for his role at WrestleMania 14. A decade later, Floyd Mayweather landed $2 million as he wrestled the Big Show in a marquee match at Mania 24. We spoke about Shawn Michaels' huge Saudi Arabia payout earlier, but Shawn actually received a similar amount to this during the 4 years he was retired from 1998 to 2002. While on the sidelines, the Heartbreak Kid was paid $750,000 a year to mostly stay at home. He still made occasional appearances for WWF every couple of months on average, but behind the scenes, Michaels continued to struggle with substances. Some believe that he was kept on such a high salary to prevent him joining WCW. And given his erratic behavior at the time, this was certainly a possibility. There were plans to get Shawn back in the ring before his eventual comeback in 2002, but these plans never materialized due to his addiction issues. Jim Cornette acknowledges Michaels' demons, but doubts the severity of the back injury that forced HBK to retire in 98.
That he had a career-ending back injury so he could drop the title, go home, and get paid by Vince McMahon until WCW folded up. And once there was no legitimate competition that he could unretire and go to, that Vince stopped paying him, and shortly thereafter that career-ending back injury was healed, and he came back to the ring and was every bit the performer that he once was. And you say this was some type of a work, sir?
When Mark Henry signed for the WWF following the 1996 Olympics, he was given a 10-year deal which would see him net $250,000 each year. This was unheard of at the time for a rookie, and got Mark a lot of heat in the locker room because of his large contract. Henry was on TV for a total of 4 years out of those first 10. The rest of his time was spent injured, in developmental, or training for the Arnold Classic. It's fair to say WWE didn't get much of a return on their investment in that first decade of service, with many believing Mark was a complete bust. But it was in his 10th year come mid-2006 that Henry finally began to stay healthy and perform at a level in keeping with his salary. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our similar...
man. Getting the bag. Shout out to all these wrestlers that were getting the bag, bro. At the end of the day, they're putting their bodies on the line to entertain us. They deserve to get paid handsomely because they're out there dealing with the pain, dealing with the constant on the road. They're not at home. They're missing their children, their families, all those important dates and stuff, especially those that are not from this country. They're missing a lot of things to entertain us. They're always on the road. Hell, they have to pay for their travel expenses for the most part. So yes, they deserve to be handsomely compensated for their time, their energy. You know, if you get into that field and you're able to make that type of money, you deserve it because you obviously put in the work. This is not including the indie shows. This is not including the shows that they barely got anything, performing in gyms in front of 10 people. It's not including all of that to get to where they are. They deserve to get paid that. And, you know, honestly, much respect, man. So to those out there that's trying to be a wrestler, man, keep grinding. Keep doing your thing. Keep putting in that work. And you never know. Maybe one day WWE or AEW calls you up and you have the opportunity to make some generational wealth. But hey, comment down below. Let me know some other wrestling related videos you guys want me to check out. I definitely will. Appreciate all love, support. Road to 150K. Appreciate y'all kicking with me. See you on the next one. Peace.